everyone, it's me, Coffee Stitcher. It's Sunday again. Woo, Sunday! How is everybody? Good, I'm glad to hear that. I hope everybody had a really good week. I had a pretty good week. Didn't get as much lunch stitching as I wanted to in, but I'll get to that when it's whip time. Went and saw a fabulous production of Camelot locally last night. Absolutely fabulous. So, all in all, I had a pretty good week. And I hope everyone else did too. There is a smidgen of haul. This week there is a lot of whip updates, a little bit of discussion, of course the Oz coloring book, and a little bit of Q&A. So, first off, we'll do the little bit of haul. I want to say a very special thank you to Lauren Laney. And Lauren, I sent you a message on Facebook. I don't know if you've seen it or not, but I did send you a message on Facebook. And there will be a thank you card coming in the mail. This is just a little bit of a busier week. She sent me a very lovely engagement card and gift, including 4 skeins of blue NPI silk. So I have my something blue for my wedding. So this will be, I'll probably have this in my pocket. But I'll figure that out on the actual, when it gets a little closer to, and I know what we're wearing and what we're going with. So, but these will definitely be a part of my wedding. So, thank you, Lauren. That was really, really sweet of you. We definitely appreciate it. So, moving along. Patricia Perkins asks, what is the pattern that's on the banner of my homepage? I want to say that's Winter String by Lizzie Kate, because I'm pretty sure that's the one that's there, and that was just because it was the only long, skinny one I had. Mary Anderson Dick asks about, she says, I'm trying to find books for my dad who loves the Wizard of Oz books. Which Oz books are best to purchase for a reasonable price? Would there be any of the books published around the year 1935 or not, the year my dad was born? There are. My personal preference, if you're just looking for copies of the books, would be to get the editions by Books of Wonder. They're pretty good facsimiles of the original copies. However, they stopped, I believe, at Royal Book of Oz, which was the last official one by L. Frank Baum, even though he was dead, and it was all entirely written by his successor, Ruth Plumly Thompson. There are those. If you're looking for paperback copies, the Del Rey editions from the late 70s, early 80s are fantastic. And if you were in a bookstore anywhere really up through the early 2000s, they were still in print. This is what their copy of Wizard looks like. But it reprints all the illustrations as best as possible in the format. These were only a couple of bucks when they came out. Wizard was $2.25, so they're pretty affordable. I really like those editions. My next recommendation, if you're looking for something slightly nicer, would be either the hardback white editions or the paperback white editions. The paperback ones are published by Rand McNally. 2 of the books are not in the paperback. Inexplicably, Lost Princess and I want to say Rinkatink, but I may be wrong, it may have been a different one, were inexplicably left out of the softback, but they are in the hardback. Those would be my recommendations for the ones that you're going to find at the most affordable prices. With regards to 1935, that was during Ruth Plumly Thompson's stint as the Royal Historian of Oz, and 1935 brought us The Wishing Horse of Oz. So there are a handful of them out there from that time period. So, And also the Ruth Plumley Thompson editions are generally going to be more affordable because they were printed in the 30s. So there are more copies that survive in good condition, so their market value is a little bit less. So I hope that helps. Alright, Cat B mentions that you mentioned that you use the bag method to store your kits. Have you ever tried using a sewing box of some kind that is sectioned off to hold your scissors, needle, a pencil, and the floss for the project you're currently working on? Some are even big enough to hold the pattern as well. No, mostly because those take up more space than I have. So with the bags, I literally can just slot them in and I'm good to go. So that's the main reason I have it. As several people threw out there, I was very tired, and I'm very well aware Belfast, and obviously Dublin, are in Ireland. Dublin being in Southern Ireland versus where Belfast is the capital of Northern Ireland, which is part of the United Kingdom. So I should have said United Kingdom and not England. So my sincerest apologies. Some Name asks, what are your upcoming stitching projects for the holidays? I don't really tend to pick ones that are just holiday specific or will be done during the holidays, so stay tuned for more of my whips. Denise Brown asks, was the arena production of The Wizard of Oz that I was talking about an ice show? No, it was not. The one, the one I'm referring to was actually in 1989. The ice show was 96-ish. And it was not on ice, and it was just, from all accounts, including from people I know who saw it, a hot mess. So it was two very different things. Let's see. And Kathy Sanders asks, and she actually asked this on the video from last week and I just missed it, what would you recommend for a Wizard of Oz cross-stitch chart for someone that is a beginner / expert? Also, where's an easy tutorial on how to do beading? I don't know about the beading tutorials still. They're really not all that difficult. Beading it's just not. But for an Oz, I would recommend the Brooks Books designs are all really fabulous. There's only a couple that have a few small fractional stitches. Everything else is full cross stitches, no blending, and all DMC, unless you choose to do like I do and get a little creative. I would also recommend the Pedal Pusher OzSal, or even the Clouds Factory Wizard of Oz. So, there you go. So that's this week's Q&A. As always, keep the questions coming. And now we move along to whips. And so this week I started the week with Storytime by the Frosted Pumpkin, and I got November finished, which was Little Women. And there we go. I did give Joe the maroon dress, so I went with obviously the more maroon color. You can't really tell too well from this, but she is wearing one glove, as mentioned. The one minor change I did make was I made the quill, instead of being white, flesh-toned, and black, I did it in white, lighter gray, darker gray. You can't really see it too well. You really can only see it if you're right on top of it. But the snowflakes are all French knots, and I actually did them with some blending filament in them. And then I filled in the background with yellow paper, with yellow wallpaper with pink stripes. Oh, and I also took out her bow and gave her a hair barrette because that seemed much more in keeping with the pictures I was finding of Joe than a hair bow was. So we've got Ebenezer Scrooge up next, and I will probably work on that this week because at some point. So okay. So then let's see what else I ordered. Oh, at lunch, this is as far as I got on Things Unseen. I should be able to get a lot more done this week at lunch. There it is. I ran into a snag because Monday I got to stitch like normal. And Tuesday I got to work and discovered that my needle had disappeared completely. So Wednesday I got to stitch. Thursday I had a work event, so I actually ate off-site, so I didn't stitch then. And so Friday then I got to stitch. So I lost 2 days of stitching. So not as much happened as I would have liked. But that's okay. Alright. So the next thing is good old Hocus Pocus. I got the rest of the words in the bottom half done. So next month's goal will be the top 2 lines and then all of the little symbol things. So I did the give him fur, black is black, just like this. Again, I'm using mostly Victoria Motto threads. I did for the black, it's actually Cinders by Gentle Art, so it's actually got a little bit of red to it. And then I decided that instead of doing the orange on just like this for the bottom half, I would use the colors for Sarah, Mary, and Winifred. So that's what I did. So this is on Demeter's Harvest from Die Stitch Love. So still working my way along it. This one may be one that gets finished this year. We shall see. Alright, so then the bigger news was I worked on Cereal Bowl number 1 and finished. So here you have it. Here's number 1, make use of present time. I did do the suggested where I put the needle under her hand. This is going to get framed and go to my mother as soon as she finds a frame for it. So we had a finish, which meant that I got to bring a whip up. So I'm currently working on Pinky the Peppermint Angel, who I renamed Bernadette because I think she looks like Bernadette Peters from Brooks Books. So I'm still working my way on the white. So, but I'm almost done there. Which then leads me to looking ahead at what's coming. So I've got goal-wise for the month left. Boop. Boop. Oh, come on. I've got National Parks for Frosted Pumpkin, December of Storytime, Let's Go on an Adventure, and then more of Blue Jeans and Daisies. Hopefully finishing, but at least more. So I don't really have a lot left there. Did finish part 3 of the Oz Sal. So, as things are going now, National Parks, I'm sort of dragging my feet a little until part 2 comes out, which I believe is this week. Pardon me. Let's Go on an Adventure isn't one that desperately has to be done this month. I do have the Leslie Tier Oz, but I'm not feeling it right now, so I think it's going to probably slip back down. So that means, and then the OzSal wraps up next month. So that means next month, OzSal is done. Most likely Blue Jeans and Daisies is done. And I shouldn't have any problem finishing Bernadette. I may actually even get that done here in the next day or two. So that'll leave definitely Hocus Pocus, Things Unseen, next month's Brooke, Magical Creatures. So Blue Jeans, Things Unseen, Brooke, Magical Creatures, Hocus Pocus, National Park, Storytime. That leaves me 7 things. So I've got some space coming up. So I'm trying to decide what I want to do. I did go ahead and, like I said, I got all the DMC for things I need. So going through my active whips, obviously pattern-wise, I can't show you anything that's not... that's digital right now. But we've got... I'm trying to figure out what that symbol was. Okay. We've got Beekeeper's Cottage from Elizabeth's Needleworks. So here it is. Tree is done. It's a lot of specialty stitches. So there's the overall pattern. So I can work on it. Oh, and Tempting Tangles. Tempting Tangles. So that's actually 8. So probably 2 things need to come up, if that. So that one. There's Spring Delivery from Plum Street, which all I really achieved on it was... because this was a Mania start, was getting the tail outlined. There's its overall. We've got the bubonic, as I was calling it, dream from it's the French one, and I can't pronounce right now. So there's it, and I've got the tree started. So I could work on it. Although it's on 40 count, and as we've kind of discussed, I'm not as in love with 40 count as I once was. We've got Wonderland the Game from Prairie Moon, which I think may actually be a very good candidate for Resurrection. Because I did really enjoy working on it. See, there's little Alice started. And it was the one that kind of looks like Candyland, both the Alice characters. And it's really not terribly big. Like, it could easily be accomplished. We have Paradise Lost, which is a good candidate for return. because I've got one page done for sure. So... we have Longfellow's Round Tower, which I think is definitely going to make its resurrection. I just need to make a working copy of the first page, because now that I'm outside of the border on it, and I'm into the actual... and I'm working on the tower itself, I would like to be able to mark off what I've done. So, and I really do love this design. In fact, that one may actually be coming back much sooner than I was planning, but we'll see. I do still want to get another couple of things done, but I'm beginning to hear this one screaming. There's Octopus Garden from Blackbird Designs, which I genuinely think isn't going to take all that long. We've got the octopus started. There's the full design. And then the Clouds Factory Wizard of Oz. And I've only done Dorothy and Scarecrow, so I still have a whole bunch of those left. So those are kind of the active whips that I've got. If anyone has any real recommendations, I'm always willing to hear them. Oh good, here's my chart for the center part of Blue Jeans. Fabulous. Alright. So I guess that being said, this week for sure I'm going to work more on Pinky and on story time. And obviously at work we'll be working on Things Unseen. So we've got some shakeups coming soon, which is exciting. Alright, so I guess that leads us to the last event of the day, which is, of course, the Oz coloring book. Let's see. Alright, so this one was first showed up my senior year of high school. It's copyright 2003 is what's inside here. This I found in all sorts of different places. Half Price Books, Hobby Lobby, Michael's. I think you actually still see these floating around. I actually don't have a mint copy. I've colored in both of them. Here's some of my fabulous coloring. And I think it was actually all done with crayon. And it's just your traditional adaptation of the story. She has silver shoes. So it's a fairly straightforward, very traditional adaptation. Good old Cyclopsy Melty Witch. So nothing to really write home about. But this is one, like I said, I'm pretty sure it's still in print. Or if not, if they're not at least making new ones, it still shows up everywhere. So, there you go. There's one more coloring book. And then, like I said, I think I'm going to dive into paper dolls next. So, I think that's everything. Any questions, always, throw them on there. I know you're seeing ads pop back up, and that's because I figure I can probably use. I know I'd kind of backed off of it because they redid their algorithms, but I'm not trying to use this as a driving force of income, but it will help a little with the honeymoon. We booked our dining reservations at like 5 o'clock in the morning, on Wednesday. That was fun. Thank you to Sarah Mary Shears for helping me out. I appreciate that. And yeah, that's kind of everything. I hope everyone's doing well, and I hope you all have a fabulous Stitchy week.